We're here with Matt O'Neill, who is here. We're going to be looking at his show, Thrift Store Sublime. Is that the name you came up with?
A show back in the 90s, and we called it low rent surreal. So yeah, I've been culling the high and the low culture throughout most of my career, so I couldn't have been happier with it. But it starts out in '94, I believe, and goes up to, some of these things are practically still wet. The first work in the whole exhibit is this one, a young man with two profiles. And this exhibit is diced up into three specific sections. These high school yearbook things were done from '94 to maybe '96. And then I started adding color and even going for more of the Picasso-oid sort of look. And then it goes into these abstract paintings, and then goes into the drawings. But as far as like the departure point of what's happening here, yeah, this would be the one. And I think again, it's just that wish to reconcile my formative years, which are for some reason so important to artists. You know, I think it was John Updike who said, you know, you're kind of formed by the time you're 25. And they are about the surreal movement and all the psychotropics that those guys use, but also they're about the milieu and the ennui of suburban kids growing up in the late 70s. This is titled The Wasteland. It's just that attempt to kind of reconcile my place in art history. You know, you grow up with all the famous paintings and all the things that you love, and then when you're born, you know, you're born into your own condition, and you want to make your contribution to art, and you realize that, I'm going to come up with some type of hybrid of what I am and what history is. So what we have here is obviously, you see a Picasso head from the 30s, which I just adore. And then I decided to muck it up, if you will, with some of the stuff from my generation. Wigs and that thing over there on the left is a thrift store painting I found. And it's a fun little landscape, and I just thought maybe we should try to reinvent it next to another goofy little part of art history.
So here we have F.F.A. Sweetheart.
Yeah, Future Farmers of America Sweetheart. And I had found a bunch of old yearbooks, and I'd cull through yearbooks to find just the right image to pick around and play around with. And I thought she just looked great. But again, I was just trying to reconcile the experiences of some kid born in the suburbs of Chicago in 1962 with a high art aesthetic. You know, you have to understand, when I was born in '62, we would wait in line at Led Zeppelin concerts and smoke pot, and then I would think, well, where do I fit into all this fine art business? so this is kind of what I came up with. So what we have here, to me, is in the age of modernism, when artists started introducing African sculpture and breaking down form and inventing things that we might call modernism. It was kind of what Kafka would call the age of anxiety, you know, that modern sort of milieu that the urban people were living in. Well, I look at that stuff too, and I thought, well, this kind of reminds me of the anxious state teenagers might be going through. I call this Portrait of the Artist's Niece that we've seen a million times from, you know, Corot or whoever. You know, it's a art history joke. It's almost like a Picasso with modern blemishes that I would have been going through, or contemporary angst. Now the abstract paintings are different in that when I start them, there's no planning whatsoever. I mix up the color and I do a little bit of drawing, and then something grows off it like a barnacle on a ship. And they grow, and then they get erased and repainted, and then suddenly I know they're finished, and don't ask me why. And the older I got, my eyesight isn't what it used to be, and I have to wear glasses when I paint. And so just defining eyeballs and mouths and teeth's got to be burdensome. I'm not saying I won't go back to it, but these certainly are freeing and just wonderfully fun to paint. And the drawings are the same way. They start with the pen hits the paper, generally not a preconceived notion. As soon as I see a ballpoint pen on a piece of paper, it reminds me of all of the underground comics I grew up with. And then some of it reminds me, well, these purely abstract ones reminds me of that crummy furniture store modern art, you know, starving artist blowout sale kind of stuff. This is after Savinio, who I love. He was de Chirico's brother. And he used to paint these modern art trash heap things that looked like half paintings flying through the sky above horizons. And it sort of took the piss out of what that ethereal abstract painting could be. It was more like, let's show the barbed wire and the baling wire and the tacks and the nails holding it together as it's a piece of junk. So here's my modern object smoking and sputtering over a bar top. It could have been some drunken political conversation. It could have been a painting, who knows. Well, this was my palette cleanser. I wanted it to be absolutely adorable because I was dealing with so much of this teenage angst and these memories. I thought, you know, I just want to do something that's sweet. And as it turns out, for better or worse, it's become one of my greatest hits. You know, you have a ton of B-sides, but this one just seems to make the rounds. We're looking at a 2 or 3 year difference in when they were painted. The Chihuahua came after this. And yeah, again, it's just all this psychological baggage with these things. I just wanted to get rid of it for a while. And so
Is this a living room that you grew up in, or?
No, but I could have. When you look at this stuff in this room, it's essentially the same thing that people have been doing for, well, how many thousands of years. And I think it's still just a really good game. You know, it has its perimeters already established. It kind of looks like a rectangle the way we see the world. You know, you've got two eyeballs horizontally set. So with a little bit of, if you can suspend belief a little bit, it's like a dog watching TV or something where they'll see another dog and start barking at it, and it's like a dream state. And I'm glad we live in a world right now where anything kind of flies. I love the Picasso quote when they said, you know, painting it's kind of old, it might be dead. And Picasso said, you know, I'm glad, because if painting's dead, that means I can do anything now.